Hello everyone, let's talk about test burn-in, but this time in the context of Playwright. So with Cypress, I was big on test burn-in, and we had local grep scripts, we had YAMLs that we would trigger in the actions, like run this one n times, all that. But the meta way to do this is, of course, with automation. So some logic to detect the changed, updated, new tests and run them so many times so that we cannot check in low quality tests to the mainline. It is a big enterprise problem because at scale you have so many people with varying experiences writing tests, and those tests may just be low quality. They may be flaky tests, and it becomes a real pain to try to deal with flaky tests. So nip it in the bud. Don't even accept low quality tests into main, and do what you can to improve that quality. So that's the whole idea. Now, Gleb wrote this blog post a long time ago, and he's exactly doing that here. And he's using Cypress with Circle CM. I was watching the video from Checkley. Um, I forgot his name. I just added him on Facebook, but yes, this guy, definitely follow him. I'm sorry. What was his name? Anyhow, yeah, I will get connected with him on Facebook and start talking to him because these videos are pretty good on checklist. So the player tips video. So he is talking about the only changed flag and the repeat each flag. So only change this, it detects the test that change, and then you can filter that by um, by the things on main. So let's say if I make some change here and I run um, only changed, it's going to just run that one test. But let's say I commit this, it's not going to run, it's not going to do the commit. So it can also do like things versus main, right? Like everything new in this PR, just run those, which is excellent. The other one is repeat each. So you can give it like one test and then you can repeat that. So it's basically burning. So I thought, yeah, why don't we just do this all together? Um, I took some notes in the README and then created scripts. So we have a regular burn-in, and that one it just has repeat each without any retries. Right? I don't want these retrying because if it's flaky, I want to know, I want it to fail. But this one is used with you just pass in like a spec or a grep, and then it just does that. So this is very classical grep kind of burn-in, right? So every this test, which iframe spec or whatever, so like runs it 10 times, right? And this one runs like everything that has dropped down, which is fine. Like if you want targeted grep, that's fine. But the one I really like is burn-in changed. So this one is just going to, and this is that one. So this is just going to detect all the new and different things in this PR and just run those. Like if I made any change to any file, then it's just going to burn them up, which is great. Okay, so now the question is, how do we painlessly get it into the CI and do it with every run? So that is more complex, but I did some abstraction to make the complexity manageable. All right, so let's just look at the PWE2E file. So this in this repo, we had parallelization and then we had merging of the reports, which you have examples of in the Playwright documentation. The only thing or the main thing that's going to be different here is we're going to have this burn-in job that runs before the end-to-end job runs. Right? And then everything is going to run depending on that. And one other key aspect here is we have this Playwright E2E file, the E2E job, but even if this job fails, we want to run the merge reports job because we want to see like those failing tests in CI. Uh, that has some indications because we want to, at the end, satisfy these three things. So we want to skip burn-in if no test files changed, right? But we still want to run E2E. Why? Because like if you just run the change test files, like it's kind of recommending in some of the documentation, Then what happens if like there are changes in the source code and no changes in the E2E, right? And then you don't run any E2E, then like you ruin everything, right? Like you have no idea what happened. Also, you might have things like not necessarily, hey, the source code change, I want to run my full regression suite, but something like maybe you're reusing the types from your source code in your test. Maybe you're just reusing some functions, which you can do that with Playwright, and you can do that with SciTask, with Cypress. Maybe those things happen. So only change is not going to detect any of that, right? So we have to be smart about that. We want to run E2E if the burn-in passes, like when we burn in a test, we want to run E2E. But if the burn-in fails, we don't want to run E2E. So because of these considerations, um, the default merge reports flow a little bit changed here with this logic. Now, how does the burn-in reusable work? So the main idea is like whatever you have, you can just bring in this burn-in reusable workflow to any repository. Okay. And what's happening here? So we can just look at that a little bit. Maybe this is too small, so we'll just look at this in here. Burn-in reusable. Burn-in reusable. Okay. So simple. Base ref may be important because by default I use main, but maybe you use master, maybe use develop, whatever you're merging into the base ref to compare. So we have that. This is the run E2E step. So this is some logic that we have to finish at the end, and based on the logic, run E2E is the end result. And later we pass this on to the other job, the real end-to-end job. So first we have to detect changed E2E test files. What's important here is that we have to fetch main and then detect the change files like that. Right? And then based on that, we say, okay, found changed environment variable either is true or false, because we need this kind of logic to use. The next steps, these are not important. This is just classic setup node, install, blah, 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 all the stuff. But run burn-in is important. So we run this only if we detect some changes in this PR. So we updated a test file, we updated or we added a new one. We only run burn-in then. This is so we don't want running burn-in all the time, right? If there's only source code changes, we don't want running burn-in, but we want to run the full or some E2E spec because this is just anti-regression. If we find some E2E files, we run those similar to the way our local script is doing it. So versus only the main, repeat like 5 times, 10 times, whatever you want. 5 is okay, I guess, for CI. You can increase this, or maybe we can just put these like parameters into the workflow call. That's fine too. But I think 5 is decent enough. Yeah, don't maybe these tests are long, so you don't want to like be a bottleneck here. Um, the important thing is that no retries, right? If it retries, you want it to fail. This is like you want a quality test. If it's being modified or being added, you want a quality test. And we need some logic to run end-to-end or not. So if no test files changed, we run E2E because source may have changed, pipeline is being triggered, run it. Like at least uh, this file isn't going to prevent that. If we did run burn-in, check if the burn-in fails. So if the burn-in fails, then we don't run E2E at all. This is the thing that's important. Otherwise, like running the end-to-end, you can deal with that in the other file. But if burn-in fails, we definitely want this thing to not progress anymore. This is why we needed this parameter, which we reveal it over in the original end-to-end file. So we can just drop this guy in and then add some logic saying, uh, like, let's look at the run E2E result of that. And then based on that, let's just drive it, right? So this is basically the 2 lines, usable workflow, and then this guy, make it happen. But we do also have this, some debugs, but we have this merge report at the end. So we also will need it in there because um, we don't want a case where like the end-to-end job fails and then merge report doesn't run. We want this running when end-to-end test fails. So because of this, so it's a 3-line logic, right? That you can drop anywhere. Take the reusable workflow, and then just add those two lines and bring it to any file. So this is how I would do parallelization and burn in um, like an enterprise setup with Playwright. Um, that is all for now. Can you do this with Cypress? Yes. Takes a bit more work because you have to use a few plugins. You have to use grep. Gleb showed it. I didn't do it with Cypress because I wanted to test the cloud solution to have it as a feature because like you come up with this long-winded solution and then you have to maintain it, all that. With Playwright, because of some of the tooling they provide, that solution, if you have to do it yourself, is less. So, for instance, it's just this, right? It's just this file, like 100 lines. So, I think this is a distinction here, right? They do provide some of the tooling that makes this burn-in easier. And then I guess this is their philosophy, right? They provide you with everything, and then you come up with your own solution. So this is the solution I have. So this is going to be in this repo, and the PR is pull request 26. I'll drop a link so you can take a look. That's all.